number one mistake us small business owners make that make us feel trapped in our businesses is making our businesses reliant on us. Hi everyone, my name's Mike Jones. I'm the founder of a business consultancy called Better Happy, and one thing that we do in a high level of detail at Better Happy is actually help business owners have a healthy relationship with their businesses. And the reason for this is I got really burnt out and depressed in my first business. So after I served in the military, I went traveling for a few years, lived on monasteries in Thailand and Nepal, and I felt really inspired and motivated to come back to the UK and to make a difference to other people's lives through business. So I couldn't have been more excited to do this. And I did it. I started my own little business, which was self-funded. It was a fitness facility, and I had that for 5 years. And every year it doubled in size, and we grew a team of 5. And it was a relatively healthy business, apart from one aspect. And the one aspect of the business that wasn't healthy was me, the owner. So what happened was, for the first 2 years, I absolutely loved the business. It was growing, it was successful, I was bringing clients in, we were making a difference to people's lives, and I was growing a team. So I absolutely loved that part of it, and it gave me a kick, it gave me a thrill to know that I was making this thing happen and I could make it work. And then around the 3-year point, I remember looking back that it started to feel like more of a stress than an enjoyment. I started to feel a bit trapped. I started to worry about all the things that were going wrong, and my life started to feel generally more stressful than enjoyable because of this thing that I owned. And then from years 3 to 5, I just got completely burnt out and completely depressed. And some of the behaviours that led to that were I wasn't taking any time off. I was constantly thinking about the issues that needed to be addressed in the business. I took 2 holidays in 5 years with my partner, so I was neglecting my personal life and my relationships, all because of this business. And the interesting thing is that I was actually growing a team over this point. So when I started the business, it was just me. But over this kind of 3 to 5 year point, I actually had a team of 4 full-time employees and a couple of part-timers. So as my team got bigger, which is when I told myself I'd spend more time off, have more time off and enjoy the kind of fruits of my labour, I actually got more busy and more stressed. So I came out of that, and I came out during COVID. I sold that business on, and I found myself in a position where I didn't know what to do in my life. So I was burnt out, I was tired, I wasn't my happy, energetic self. So I was a little bit burnt, and I didn't want to go back into owning a business because I was worried that I was going to put myself into that situation again and have an unhealthy, unhappy relationship with a business. But also I knew that I wouldn't be happy going into a job. I knew that that was an option, and I was looking at it. It was a realistic thing that I was looking into. And there was lots of things about a job that were appealing to me. Safety, security, some steady money coming in, not having to worry about all these different aspects of owning a business, not having to manage people. But I knew deep down that that wouldn't make me happy. If we've got this entrepreneurial flair within us, if we're business owners or we've been business owners for a number of years, we kind of know that just going back to a normal job isn't really an option for us. It's like we've left the matrix and we can't get put back in. So ultimately I realised that the only option that was available to me was to figure out how to be happy owning a business. And that's why I founded Better Happy, because I basically started talking about this experience and creating the tools and resources I needed as a business owner, or aspiring business owner, the position I was in at the time. I needed the tools and the resources and the community that I needed to enable me to do that, to own a business with my hard working attitude, without making myself miserable. And that actually led to the formation of Better Happy, which is the consultancy we have today. So now we do more than just working with the owners, we work with the businesses as well. But a big part of what I do is help business owners have a healthy, happy relationship with their work, so their businesses can thrive and they can thrive. Because actually 90% of the time when small businesses are struggling, it's us, it's the owners that are getting in the way, and it's us that are creating the issues. So today the main issue that I want to talk about is how we don't plan our businesses around us being redundant as the owner. So what happens is we plan and build our businesses with us as employees within the business, right? And at the start, obviously that's okay, because that's how a business gets started. Unless you've got lots of funding and a board and all of this stuff, it's going to start off, a small business is started by an owner working for little to nothing, and working exceptionally hard. Now the problem is that's not scalable. We get used to that, and most of the small business owners that I work with today are still stuck in that cycle, even though they're normally past their 40s and thinking about retirement. They've got stuck in this rut where the business is reliant on them. And there's a few issues with that. So what I want to highlight is why there's issues with that, and then what we need to do to get past those issues. So the issues with that is that if you think about what are your reasons for starting and owning a small business, why did you start? And maybe you've been in your business for a few years, so maybe you've not done this for a while. So it's a good exercise to do. But have a think back to what were your motivations for starting your own business and going through the effort and drive and stress that we have to go through to start a business. What were your reasons for that? And for most of us, we're going to find that those reasons where we want a level of freedom, we want to make a difference, and we want to be able to pay ourselves and live life on our own terms. Normally, we're going to find that it's kind of around those reasons. Maybe yours is different. If so, please stick it in the comments. But generally, we'll find that those are the reasons. And then because we're so motivated and excited and driven, because we're entrepreneurial, we're so driven by that vision of this better life and making a difference and living life on our own terms and creating work for people and changing our industries. We're so driven by this that we put in this colossal amount of effort to get this business started. We put in our own funds, we work really hard, and we just find this level of energy that most normal people can't fathom. Now, what happens is, and this is where the problem arises, is that requires basically 100% full-time commitment from us, the owners, from you. And we jump in and we do it and we grind away and we get stuck in and we make this thing work through blood, sweat and tears. And what we do is we forget to step back. So we do this, and typically we do this kind of startup phase, and it can last anywhere up to 3 years where we're just grafting and making the thing work. We're running on stress, we're running on adrenaline. We've got skin in the game, we've put money into it. So we graft and we make this thing work, and it's hard and it's stressful because we tend to be overly optimistic as business-minded people. We tend to just tell ourselves that everything's going to work and be really easy because we're motivated and passionate. And but the reality is normally it's way harder than what we think. So we get stuck in, we work really hard, and we make the thing work. And it's normally very stressful, it's normally challenging, and it's definitely not easy. If it was easy, everybody would own a business, right? So let's say this goes on for 3 years, and then after about 3 years, we start to find a level of stability. So we've got we figured out what our messaging is. We've got a consistent stream of clients coming in. We've built a little team. We're paying ourselves a wage that's worth our time. So we're starting to feel a level of comfort. So after this massive gargantuan effort, we find ourselves in this zone where we can take a breather and in this zone of comfort. And after the amount of effort that we've just put into this first leg of the sprint or leg of the marathon, we appreciate this breathing space. We've probably been putting a lot of stress on ourselves. We've probably been putting a lot of stress on our family, financial stress. Throughout this whole time, we've probably been doubting ourselves and asking ourselves if this thing's going to work. So we go through this kind of years worth normally of stress, not just on ourselves, but on the people around us as well. So when we reach this moment or this level of comfort, we enjoy it, and rightly so. So we settle, we enjoy it, we like taking the money, we like having the little team around us. Yes, the thing's all reliant on us, even the clients and the customers and the staff, they're reliant on us still, but we're happy. There's a level of comfort and breathing room. Now, this is where the problem happens, and this is what I see most commonly, and this is what happened with me, right? We get into this space, and then we get comfortable there, and then we don't zoom out again and get refocused on what we want. We don't zoom out again and give ourselves time and permission to think about where we want to be and reset our goals. And if we did do that, what we'd realize is we didn't build this thing to create a job for ourselves. Okay, most business owners don't want a job, right? That's why we start businesses. But what we've created for ourselves at this level of comfort is a job. And that is infinitely better than the startup phase where we're probably not even getting paid properly. So it is attractive, but only for a short period of time. And that's the most common issue that I see, that I went through, but that I see with the business owners that I work with. And we can stay stuck here for years and years and years. And what happens is it's comfortable, it's nice for a little bit of time. But if we really zoom out and think about what are our motivations for doing this, we will normally find that what we wanted was freedom, maybe a business that we could sell, financial freedom, the ability to really make a difference to people's lives, to make a big impact. And this stage that it's at, where we're working in it and it's relying on us, those things aren't happening. We're not free. We are owned by the business, we're chained by the business. The business can't scale because it's relying on us, the owners. So we don't feel as proud as we should do. And the business probably can't sell either because it's reliant on us, the owners. Or it can sell, but it's going to sell with some deal in it where you as the owner are going to have to stay in for years. So that's not what you want either. So this is what I call the kind of success to slog phase of business. And I understand this because I did it. I stayed there for too long and it made me unhappy and depressed. But I think one of my weaknesses that's also my strengths is my drive is so high that I couldn't be in this phase for very long before getting depressed. And I did, I got depressed in a 2-year period, and I was working too hard and not listening to my goals. But what I see with a lot of other business owners is we can stay in this stage for years and years and years, and we don't realize it's an issue until we're starting to think about retirement, and we're like, I would like to retire, but I've got this team that are dependent on me and this business that's dependent on me, and I can't sell it. And that's when we really start to feel trapped. And it's a downward spiral, because when we get into this phase where you're thinking about retirement but you feel trapped by the business, then you no longer have this feeling of love for your business. You start to have this feeling of resentment, but the business is still reliant on you and the team is still reliant on you. So if you're feeling resentful and you're not feeling energized and motivated and inspired and like an inspiring leader, well, then the team are going to feel that, and the customers are going to feel that, and the business becomes stagnant. And even though you care about your people, you end up creating this culture inadvertently where it's just not very exciting, it's not very motivating, and it starts to feel like the very thing that you hated, which probably got you into business in the first place, which it starts to feel like a non-inspiring 9-to-5 job. And this is where so many of us business owners get stuck. We get stuck in this comfort phase where we just get used to the business being reliant on us, the customers being reliant on us, the team being reliant on us. It feels good at the beginning, but as we start to get older and we want to retire, or we want more freedom, or we just tap back into these subtle drives where we want this lifestyle that isn't a job, we lose our motivation, and then it turns the business into something that we're not very proud of. And that's a lose-lose situation for everybody. So that's the most common situation that I see normally when I work with a business owner, and I can recognize this because I've been there. We'll do some work, and a lot of the time they come and talk to us about Happy because they want to make the culture better and they want to make it more enjoyable for the team. And 9 times out of 10, when we zoom out and start with the owner, we actually realise that they're feeling a bit trapped, and it's not what they want from the business anymore, but they've got comfortably uncomfortable. So things are okay the way they are, but they're not the way they want them to be, so they're never going to be highly motivated. So we have to really kind of zoom out and go, well, what do you want from the business, and what needs to change for you to feel really happy? And it's normally, okay, well, actually, I'd like it not to be reliant on me. I'd like to be able to potentially sell it. I'd like the team to run it for me. I'd like to be able to go on holiday more, and pay myself more. And that's good. We need to zoom out and do that. And if we're honest with ourselves, the reason we're probably not doing that is we've got comfortable the way things are. And the longer you're comfortable, this is a really important thing to understand, the longer we stay in the zone of comfort, the less we start to believe in ourselves and our ability to make new things happen. It's this constant ongoing cycle in life, right, that we are constantly trying to be pulled into comfort. And the more time we spend in that zone of comfort, the less we believe in ourselves and our ability to achieve things. And there's an analogy for the gym, but when we go into a gym, and I like my training, we do a routine, we follow a set program, and we get fitness improvements, and we feel really good about ourselves. But then what you've got to do if you want to stay really healthy is you've got to mix that routine up. And the longer you stay stuck in that routine, the less you start to believe in your ability to change it and your ability to get improvements, because you're just so used to just doing what you always do. And this is what happens in businesses, right? We go through that startup phase, we make achievements, we do incredible stuff. We leave this trail of proof behind us that we are actually capable and that we can achieve things. And then we get comfortable. And the longer we stay in that comfort zone, the less and less and less we believe in our ability to achieve new things. So you can have a business owner, and this is so common, that's built a business from nothing, self-funded, built a team around them, made a difference, created their own kind of gap in an industry. They've done all these incredible things, yet they're sat there believing that they can't get to the next level because they've been in a zone of comfort for too long after those initial achievements. So a lot of the time that's what's going on. We need to give ourselves a bit of a kick. We need to get a community around us that are going to support us. We need to have a bit of a strategy to actually pull us out of this comfort zone and get back into our A game, which is where we're moving towards something that's important to us. So a lot of the time it's just self-belief, and I think it's a misconception that all business owners are super confident and don't have any lack of self-belief. It's absolutely not true. We're all human beings, right? And we all need other people to support us to help us move towards our goals. I think the important thing with business owners is we are less susceptible to not moving towards our goals than other people are. So a lot of people can get through life not moving towards their big goals without particularly struggling mentally. Whereas us as business owners, I think the longer we don't move towards our goals because of our level of drive and focus, the more unhappy we feel internally. So what we've got to do is we've got to give ourselves a bit of a kick up the arse. We've got to get refocused on what's important to us. We probably need a community of supportive people around us, but we've got to get clear on what we want from the business, because if it's reliant on us and we're not motivated, it's going to go sour. It's going to end up being the thing that you hated when you had a job. So get refocused on what you want, and what you have to have is a kind of a minimum of a 3-year plan. But I would say you really want your kind of vision, and then your 5, 3, and 1 year plan. So when I'm working with a business owner, there's 2 things that and I do this for myself as well, by the way, to prevent myself falling into this cycle of being stuck where I'm unhappy. There's 2 things that we need to do. The first thing is we need to go massive pie in the sky, big picture, and we need to create our strategy. And this is absolutely vital. And I know some of us small business owners, we're very practical, we're very pragmatic, we're very down on the ground, hands on the tools, get on with it, and maybe a little bit kind of allergic to corporate talk as such. But you've got to have a strategy. And what I mean by a strategy is what we do at Better Happy is a 1-page strategy map. And what I'll do is in the comments, I'll share the link to our strategy map template. So you can go and do that for free. You don't need to spend any money with me or with anybody else to figure this out. You can do it for free following a template. But you've got to have a 1-page strategy map. And what your 1-page strategy map is it's a vision statement, which is ultimately why does the business achieve, what does the business exist to achieve? A mission statement, which is essentially what's the 3 things that you do really well that make you an army of one? And then your kind of yearly objectives, which is a separate exercise. But what we need to start with is that vision, mission, and probably your values as well that sits on the bottom. Now, why this is important, and I need you to understand this as a business owner, is that is you on a page. So what typically happens is us business owners, we've got this vision, we've got this stuff that excites us, and we don't feel very confident in articulating that in a succinct, concise way. So it stays in our head. And the problem is then is that, well, the business is relying on you and the people are reliant on you. And if you're on holiday, then people will start doing stuff that's not aligned to what you want the business to be. And then you get stressed because you're like, no, for the business to work, it's got to be A, B, C. And we're different because we achieve this. And this is what makes us different. And this is the thing we're trying to achieve. If all that's locked in your head, the business is always relying on you. It doesn't really have this consolidated identity that can thrive and survive without you. So that's the first thing we've got to do. We've got to get your vision and your mission, your ideas out of your head and onto paper. Now, you've probably got a little perfectionist demon sat on your shoulder because you're a business owner and you're a human. I have it as well. And you probably tried this before to write down a bit of a thing and it's either ended up being 10 pages or you just weren't happy with it. So what I would say to you is it doesn't have to be perfect because once you've got something written down that you're like 70% happy with, well then what we can do over time is we can improve that and iterate it. But if you don't have something written down because it wasn't perfect so you just never finished it, then there's nothing to look at and improve. So don't worry about it being perfect. Follow the template that I'll put in the links below this video and just go and get it done. Just write it down and you will feel an immense weight lifted off your shoulders because once we've got you on a page, your vision on a page, all of a sudden the business has the option to scale because we can give that to people and say, look, this is what we need to happen. And it can work without you and it can also sell without you. Obviously it needs to have more than just a 1-page strategy document, but this is like the first step towards making your business a systemized and scalable asset as opposed to a job that's reliant on you. So that's the first thing that we need to do. And sometimes you will need help for that. I mean, I would encourage you to do it yourself, but if you're struggling with it and you really need help, then make sure that you just drop me a message on whichever channel that you're watching this and I'll give you some help. The next thing that we need to do then from that, so that kind of gives us our star, our kind of, I like to think about a mountain and the precipice in the mountain. That's the thing that we're aiming for. Once we've got that, that then gives us some context to actually start planning. And this is the second stage that's vitally important for you to do. And this requires a level of confidence, which is why I gave us that little story about kind of getting stuck into the comfort zone and how we need to pull ourselves out. So we need to have a long-range plan, an LRP. And ideally that's a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, which then boils down into your 1 year, which is the more kind of strategic, actionable, tactical plan, I should say. But we need to have, as a business owner, I would say a minimum of a 5 and 3 year picture. So what you've got to do is think about where do you want to be in 5 years' time and where do you want to be in 3 years' time. But let's just start with 5 years. What we'll normally find as business owners is that we don't want to be full-time employees in our businesses 5 years from now. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, right? That's good because it forces us to systemize and scale. Now, if that's what you see, if you still see, in 5 years' time that you are working in the business and you're still an employee, then fine. Build the business around that, but make sure that you're paying yourself appropriately. But if you are like most business owners, you're like, actually, I don't want to be a full-time employee in my business in 5 years' time. We need to first of all get clear on that and not let a lack of confidence hold us back from communicating that, because this is what happens a lot of the time. Is that's what we want, but we don't believe in it, so we just don't plan for it. That's a really poor way to go about things, because we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you don't see yourself in 5 or 3 years working in the business, fine, good, it's probably a good thing. So now we need to think about, okay, so who will be working in the business? How's it going to work without you? And the biggest mistake that us business owners make is we tend to discount ourselves and the work we put into a business, because we're so used to being that person that started it and made it work. And when we go through this exercise and go, well, I don't see myself being a full-time employee in 3 to 5 years, it forces us to go, well, okay, who could do what I do? Is that one person? Is that 2 people? Is that 3 people? What kind of wage am I going to need to pay these people? And then what we'll normally find is that our pricing model isn't going to work if we're not working in the business doing the job of 3 people, paying ourselves nowhere near enough. And that's a really important realization for us to go through sooner rather than later, because I did this with the gym, right? I was coaching, I was marketing, I was training the staff, I was doing all the advertising, I was doing all the business development, I was basically just doing a little bit of everything and paying myself less than minimum wage per hour. So as I started to get fed up of this, of working all these hours and not seeing my partner and not even having the time to train, as I started to get fed up of that, I felt like I was stuck and it was impossible to fix, because the business model was built on, and the payment structures were built, and the pricing model was built on being a little bit profitable with me working for nothing, essentially, which meant the business really wasn't profitable, was it? So when I started to think about, well, if I'm not in this and somebody's doing the jobs that I want to do, I'm going to need to pay them X, X, and X. And well, the business doesn't make enough money. And what that shows, what I learned, and what it shows us, if that's our situation, is our business model isn't working. Our business model isn't fit for purpose and it's not ready to scale. And if we're not willing to step back and address that and change it, then we're going to be stuck in the business forever. We've got ourselves a job. We haven't got a scalable business. A scalable business that can make a difference to many people's lives, that can pay our staff well and that can work without us, has to make money without the owner being a cheap employee within the business. So it's not an easy situation to go through, because you're going to have to probably reimagine your business, how you communicate in your business, reimagine your services and your pricing structure. So I don't want to pretend that this is an easy thing. It's not. It's a big mental challenge for us business owners to do this. But I 100% believe it's a win situation, because what it normally forces us to do, this is normally what will transpire. And if you're sat listening to this going, oh, we just can't do that in my industry, it's only going to work if I'm in it, and I'm just going to have to make peace with it. I need you to put that to the side, and what I want to explain to you is that it's an opportunity, right? And the reason that it's an opportunity is people are willing to pay more for a good service. And when you started your business, you probably had a vision of it being the best service. It might even be one of the best services. So this is the problem with my first business. It was a fantastic business, but I just wasn't packaging and pricing it in the right way because of a lack of confidence. I packaged it on the market average, right? So because of my own beliefs. So if we step back and we're like, look, this business has to work for me, otherwise I'm not going to do it, right? And we just make that choice. Then we're left in a situation where we're like, okay, we've got to figure out how to make this thing work. And normally it's going to be we need to make more money. And normally to make more money, we're going to have to be better at marketing, better at sales, and better at delivery. Or even not better at delivery, but better at pricing the delivery for value that we already provide. So although that's going to feel hard and challenging, it's actually going to force your hand to create a positive situation. And once you make your business more financially scalable and healthy, it actually creates a win-win situation, because your customers can have a better service, your employees can get paid better, and your business can run more on a more systemized format. It becomes a sellable asset, and you can work. You don't have to work, essentially. You can work in a way that suits you and that you deserve for growing your business. So I'm not going to go into the details of the long-range planner, but generally speaking, you need a 10-year picture, you need a 5-year kind of picture, and then we go down into 3 years. Generally speaking, that's what we do, but it doesn't have to be those timeframes. Then from there, we break down into 1 year and quarterly objectives, but forget that today. That's tactical planning. We don't need that. You need your strategy. So why do we exist? Why did I start this thing? What do we want to be? What makes us different? What's our opportunity? Then we need to go, okay, 3 or 5 years, where do I see myself? Okay, well, if I don't want to be in the business, how's it going to work without me? And what jobs do I do? Who would have to replace me? What would I have to pay them? How can the pricing model that we've got in place work to pay those people so that I don't need to be there? This is going to feel, the longer you've been stuck in your business as an employee, the more stressful this is going to feel for you, because it's going to be a big change in your head, and you're going to have all of these negative self-beliefs telling you it's not possible in my industry, and I'm just going to have to stay stuck in it, etc., etc. Like I said, that it's all nonsense. I know, because I've been there. I work with different business owners. I know the mental turmoil that we go through when we're thinking about this. But trust me, it's a situation that you can definitely surpass. And what you've got to do is you've got to force your hand. Look, if you're not going to be happy being a full-time employee, not getting paid enough in your business in 3 to 5 years, or you want to retire in 3 to 5 years, then it's not an option. It's not an option for you to stay in the business. So you have to make this choice. And I think that's actually a good thing, because it forces your hand, and it forces all of this negative voices, all of these negative narratives we have telling us that it's not possible. It forces them to kind of quieten down and go, all right, well, whatever, but I've got to make this work. So force your hand, plan for your business to work without you. When you do that, it creates a win-win situation for everybody. If you are doubting yourself about what can be done in your industry, what you can charge, and just telling yourself you've just got to do what everybody else can do, think about a few brands that have kind of like revolutionized different industries in the last 20 years and just charged way more and delivered a better service, and start putting your eye out. This is what I'd encourage you to do. Start looking out for people that are providing premium or a higher level of, and I'm not talking about just expensive for the sake of being expensive. I'm not talking about like ultra luxury. I'm talking about premium brands and premium services. Start to look into different industries and find, are there people that are over delivering, that are delivering a higher level of service, providing a higher level of care, and charging more for it. And what you're going to find in every single industry is that is happening, and those businesses are healthier, and the people in it are having a better time, and the customers are happier as well. So you probably just need to challenge your beliefs, and you'll find this in, I'm always looking at this stuff because it interests me, but you'll find it in accountancy. You'll find some accountants that charge way more than others. They've got no shortage of customers. They're doing an amazing job, and they're delivering more value to their customers. Even recently, so I was talking to my partner about this yesterday, car washing. So if you think about, and this is my last point, and then I'll wrap the video up, but let's imagine that you own a little car washing business, right? And when you started your car washing business, you had visions of providing like the best car washing that's available to man or woman in the land. And you had this vision of it being incredible and cleaning out all the different little nooks and crannies, and the car looking brand new after you finish with it, right? So that was your vision, and you're excited by that because humans are excited to do a good job. And then what happens is you go into the car washing industry and you realise that, well, on average, people are actually charging X amount, let's say £30 a car wash. And for me to make a car look brand new, it's going to take me at least 5 hours. So I can't charge £30 for 5 hours because it's not going to work. So then what you do is you start to sacrifice your vision. You're like, well, all right, I've got to adapt to the industry. So you're like, well, I can do it for £30, but I'm going to have to do it a bit quicker. I'm going to have to use cheaper tools, and I can't use this premium washing fluid that I want because it makes it non-profitable. And then what happens is you end up stuck in this job. You end up stuck with a job where you're not charging what you want to charge. You're not making enough money. You're not delivering the service that you dreamed of delivering, and you feel bleh. I've been seeing a few videos on YouTube recently, and these are the ones I've been sharing with my partner, of these people that are doing ultra kind of premium car washing services, and they proudly state that they charge a minimum of £150 to clean one car, and it takes them 5 hours. And the videos, I think one of these guys has got the Platinum Award for YouTube because he's got so many views on these videos, right? And they put little videos on of all these little levels of detail they're going in to make this car amazing, and you can't stop watching it. It's maybe it's a man brain thing, if I'm allowed to say that, but it's hypnotizing. You get sucked in and you watch it, and it's really kind of like pleasing to the mind to see these cars every little part of this car being made look brand new. So my point is this: is that if you just believe that, well, the industry average for cleaning a car is £30, so that's what I've got to do, you're going to sacrifice your vision. You're going to end up stuck in a business that's probably not profitable, and it only works for you working in it. But actually, if you dare to listen to your kind of consciousness and your vision, which is telling you, I want to do this high level of service, you'll start to find ways to make that work. And what we see on the internet is from that, and what we see in the business world is people are willing to pay. People are so bored of just seeing the same thing over and over again for £30 that if somebody comes up and says, I charge 5 times more and I deliver 10 times the service, people are like, okay, come and clean my car. And I think these guys have got waiting lists, right? So regardless of your industry, please don't buy into the notion, like I did with my first business, by the way, where there's an industry average, that's what you've got to charge, and everything else needs to adapt around that. Don't buy into that, right? And you might have been doing that for a few years, fine, but let's look at how we can change it. Let's get realigned to your vision. Let's get clear on what the business needs to make to give you the lifestyle that you want, to provide the level of service that your customers need. And then let's figure out how to make that a reality. So let's summarize that. Don't be stuck in your business. Don't plan for yourself to be a cheap employee within your business. That's a mistake. You probably started your business for freedom and impact, and you being a cheap employee isn't going to make that happen. To step towards making the business work without you, start with your strategy. Just get clear on, doesn't have to be perfect, don't spend longer than 2 hours on it. Why does this thing exist? What's the vision? What makes us different? What's the 3 things that are going to make us unique? Follow through the strategy map that I'll put in the comments below. And then the next piece is, where do you want to be? Pick 3 or 5 years. Where do you want to be in 3 or 5 years? Okay, for you, and I'm assuming that you don't want to be in the business at least as a full-time employee, not getting paid enough. So then figure out, what does the business need to make to pay the people that can replace me? What people do they need to be? How much money do I want to take after? So how much profit does it need to make? Start putting a rough plan in place for that. And that's going to start to force your mind to go, right, this isn't acceptable the way it is at the moment. This is what it's got to be moving forward. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you've done that, it's just reverse engineering from that end goal. And the reason that most business owners aren't doing this is because they haven't got the confidence to do that end goal. So they got stuck in the business, told themselves that's what it is, and then they just create this thing they don't want. So create that vision, 3 or 5 year plan, strategy map, get clear on it, and then we can just reverse engineer to create a business that you want and that you dream of. You're going to be happy, your business is going to be perform better, customers are going to get better service, and your employees are going to be healthier and happier. Hope that's been useful for you. If you found that useful, please do subscribe to the channel below. Check out the Better Happy website. So if you're a larger company, go to betterhappy.co.uk. If you're a small business owner, which is what this video has been aimed at, so I'm assuming you probably will be, go to the betterhappybusinessclub.com and you can find out more about the services that we provide there. Life and business are better happy.